Hello, and welcome to the Lessons Unlocked podcast. I'm your host, Colleen McCracken. I've been looking for ways to increase music education accessibility, and I believe that this podcast can make a difference. The Lessons Unlocked podcast uses a virtual platform to engage with student musicians through masterclass-style instruction. Students may submit a recording of their playing for in-depth feedback to be shared with all listeners. This way, students who submit can get feedback, and any other student with access to the podcast can learn from the masterclass. I'm also adding a Q&A section to the podcast, so please submit any questions that come up for you. This week's name to know is Jeanne Baxtresser. Ms. Baxtresser has held principal positions with 3 major orchestras, culminating in her 15-year tenure as a solo flutist of the New York Philharmonic. Making her heralded debut with the Minnesota Orchestra at age 14, Ms. Baxtresser began her professional career as principal flutist of the Montreal Symphony immediately following her graduation from the Juilliard School, where she studied with Julius Baker. She was subsequently appointed principal flute of the Toronto Symphony before being invited by music director Zubin Mehta to join the New York Philharmonic. Ms. Baxtresser appeared as a soloist with the New York Philharmonic on more than 50 occasions, and has been featured as a soloist across North America and Europe. Recipient of the National Flute Association's Lifetime Achievement Award for significant, lasting contributions to the flute world, Ms. Baxtresser was also awarded the National Medal of Arts from the Interlochen Center for the Arts and serves as a member of the Honorary Board of the Suzuki Association of the Americas. She is recognized internationally as a leading recording artist, author, and lecturer. In great demand as a teacher, many of Ms. Baxtresser's students occupy principal and section positions in major orchestras throughout the United States, Canada, Europe, and Asia. While in New York, Ms. Baxtresser served on the faculties of the Juilliard School and the Manhattan School of Music. In 1998, she was appointed the Vera I. Hines Professor of Flute at Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh, where she has attracted many outstanding flute students from around the world. Ms. Baxtresser was also named University Professor, Carnegie Mellon University's most distinguished professional position awarded to those individuals who have achieved exceptional international recognition. She has since retired from this position. Ms. Baxtresser's exceptional career as a recitalist, concerto soloist, and chamber musician has produced numerous recordings, including New York Legends, a collection of my favorites, and chamber music for flute, featuring her performances with principal players of the New York Philharmonic. She has recorded many of the major symphonic works with the New York Philharmonic. Ms. Baxtresser's acclaimed first book, Orchestral Excerpts for Flute with Piano Accompaniment, has been re-released with a new revised edition. This book and a companion CD, Orchestral Excerpts for Flute with Spoken Commentary, have become a vital part of flute pedagogy. Her subsequent book, Great Flute Duos from the Orchestral Repertoire, was named the 2004 winner of the National Flute Association's newly published music competition. Jeanne Baxtresser is definitely a name to know. The piece of the week is Duo for Flute and Piano by Aaron Copland. Duo was commissioned by 70 pupils and friends of the celebrated flutist William Kincaid after his death in 1967. Copland described it as lyrical and in a pastoral style. Lyricism seems to be built into the flute, he wrote. Duo is in 3 movements. Quote, the whole is a work of comparatively simple harmonic and melodic outline, direct in expression. Being aware that many of the flutists who were responsible for commissioning the piece would want to play it, I tried to make it grateful for the performer. It requires a good player, end quote. The piece has become a standard in the repertoire of flutists worldwide and is also available in a version for violin and piano. Jeanne Baxtresser has an excellent recording of the piece available on YouTube, which I will link in the description below. This week's highlighted organization is the Raleigh Area Flute Association, or RAFA. RAFA is a nonprofit corporation founded in 1985. In addition to their extensive family of teachers and students, they have several flute choirs that perform throughout the Raleigh and the greater Piedmont Triangle area in North Carolina. Rafa presents workshops, masterclasses, and competitions all year, but their favorite event is the annual Flute Fair, held in mid-November, where members gather for presentations, guest artists, recitals, and flute-related vendors in an all-day event. They support activities through membership dues and contributions from individuals and businesses throughout North Carolina and nationwide. Throughout North Carolina and nationwide. Before we hear our first performer, I want to give some background information on the piece they will be performing. It's titled Yuhwa, for the Korean goddess of the willow tree. Now, the willow tree represents healing, so I imagine her to have healing powers. I'm not sure if that's canon or not, but that's how I imagine her. In Korean mythology, Yuhwa was the daughter of a river god who was tricked into marrying the sun god. She escaped back to her homeland and gave birth to a son who became the founder and monarch of Korea's northern kingdom. This piece was written by Adolphus Hailstork. Hailstork studied music theory and composition with the renowned opera composer Mark Fax at Howard University in Washington, D.C., and received a Bachelor of Music degree in 1963. Upon graduating, he traveled to France, after which he studied piano and composition at the American Conservatory at Fontainebleau with Nadia Boulanger. When he returned to the United States, he enrolled in the Manhattan School of Music, studying with Vittorio Giannini, and received a second Bachelor of Music degree in 1965 and a Master of Music degree there in 1966. Continuing his studies in music composition at Michigan State University and on the music faculty, Hailstork earned the Doctor of Philosophy degree in 1971. Preferring programmatic music which draws from real-life experiences, people, and events, Hailstork aims to convey deeper meanings and subjects in his compositions. His choice to explore meaningful and sometimes disturbing events in American history serves as a call for listeners to engage with and contribute to building a more thoughtful and culturally rich society. Maddie, take it away with Yuhwa by Adolphus Hailstork. Excellent performance, Maddie. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. I'm going to try a different method of giving feedback. I'm going to sort of give live feedback over the recording now. So if listeners, if you like this better, please let me know. I love some feedback from you all. Let's get started. Absolutely gorgeous tone in this opening. Good job showing the difference in articulation in that measure. That was excellent. I think we could have used just a little bit more vibrato on that high A that we just passed. The vibrato that you had at that note, I think we could have used that back at that A. Great articulation here. Good technique. That's a very difficult section. I think we could have used a little bit less vibrato there. I think that was a good opportunity to practice controlling our vibrato and showing the audience the power of no vibrato. I think we could have had a little bit more of a decrescendo there to set us up for a bit more contrast going into that crescendo and the articulated passage that we're hitting now. Same here. I think we could have done even less on that piano. Excellent job choosing to add vibrato on the appoggiatura. This passage feels a little bit slow to me. I hear it more like ba-da-da-da-dum, 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 which I know is quite brisk. But perhaps we could compromise and just do a hair faster. Ooh, I like your choice with vibrato there. That was gorgeous as well. Excellent job with that rubato. I think we could have done with a little bit more of a retard there. Ba-dee-dum. Good recovery. Finger mistakes will always happen, and it's all about how we recover. So great job. You are articulating so fast. That's very impressive. That was an incredible measure. Measure 110. Holy cow. Really excellent work on this, Maddie. This is an incredible performance and something that I think our listeners are going to learn a lot from. So thank you so much. Our next performer is Jason from South Carolina, performing the first movement from La Flute de Pan by Jules Mouquet. Mouquet studied at the Paris Conservatoire, and after winning the Prix de Rome, he became the professor at the Conservatoire in 1913. In the early 20th century, Mouquet wrote this lovely flute sonata, La Flute de Pan. It shows his late Romantic and Impressionism influences, particularly in the choice of subject matter. The ancient Greek god of the mountains, with his nymph followers, Pan was always shown with his pan flute. Half goat and half man, like a satyr, but with his human head adorned with little horns. Pan has an association not only with the wild, but also with music. In his sonata, Mouquet presents us with three scenarios: Pan and the shepherds, Pan and the birds, and Pan and the nymphs. And the first movement, which we will be hearing today, is Pan and the shepherds. Pan and the Shepherds takes us up to the hills. In the score, a small poem is presented. Ô Pan, qui habite la montagne, chante-nous, de tes douces lèvres une chanson, chante-nous, là en t'accompagnant du roseau pastoral. O Pan, living in the mountain, sing us from your sweet lips a song. Sing it for us, accompanied by the shepherd's pipe. This is the first movement of La Flute de Pan by Jules Mouquet, performed by Jason. Take it away. Wow, Jason, that was incredible. Thank you so much for sending this in so we all get to listen to your beautiful performance. I am so impressed. Thank you again. Let's get into some feedback. Lovely opening. I wonder if we could find a way to sound a little bit more open in the upper register. It sounds just a little bit tense, so I'm wondering if we're finding tension somewhere in our body. So I would recommend thinking, I had a teacher who would always say, think low air, or think like your body is a tree and your air is coming all the way from your roots, which are your feet, so you feel connected to the ground. And I think all of that was a way for this teacher to explain that oftentimes we start to get tense in our upper body when we're playing in the high register. So thinking about our lower body is a sort of passive way to avoid that tension. I hope that makes sense. I think that's something that could help your upper register sound a little bit more free. It sounds absolutely gorgeous, by the way. This is just a way to make it even a hair better. Wow, your low register, we just heard right before 25. That was insane. And now at 25, wow, incredible low register. I wonder if we could have added some more dynamic contrast in measures 37 and 38 leading up to the... Actually, you know what? I think you have a solid point because it does say subito piano, but maybe we could do piano in measure 37 and then forte again in measure 38. It just felt forte for a little bit too long for me in those those 6 bars, which is what he has written. So you have every right to do that. It just felt a little loud for too long for me. Excellent technique. Really outstanding. I wonder if we could get a little bit smoother in these triplets at 65 and 66. Something that I find helps me is to think about my stomach not moving, because our stomachs are such a big part of articulation and the use of our air. So thinking about pushing it out and keeping it frozen will often help me to sound more connected in a passage such as this, where it's legato triplets. I think here at 73, you can be even quieter. I think You already proved to everyone how incredible your low register is. So I would want to hear a different color here, maybe something a little more pale, because it's mysterious and it's quite soft and dynamic. See, at 113, your high register sounds open and lovely. So whatever you're doing there in your body, try to apply that to the beginning of the piece. Really fantastic ending. My only comment for that ending is I would want a little bit more clarity of articulation. So I might add almost staccato notes on the staccato markings on the articulated notes there. Beat up, beep up, beep up, beat up, 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 bum. I think he's ending it in kind of a silly, goofy, fun way, and I think that would bring it out a little bit more. Jason, this is an absolutely incredible recording. Thank you so much for sending this in. I think everyone's going to be listening to this on repeat throughout their day. We are all so lucky to get to hear you. So thank you again for sending this in. All right, now I'm going to answer a few questions that I got on the Q&A form. If you'd like to ask any questions, please use the link on our website to send those into the podcast. So the first question is, do you get nervous when you perform? The short answer is yes. The long answer is it depends. I've been performing since I was, I think, 10 years old. So I've had a lot of practice getting used to the feeling of nervousness. The feeling of nervousness will never fully go away. You'll just become more comfortable kind of sitting in that feeling. So that's something to look forward to, is you'll feel comfort in your nervousness. And sometimes when I'm not nervous, that freaks me out a little bit, because I'm like, why am I not nervous? Do I not care? Am I over-prepared? Am I going to give a boring performance? And you know, that works me up to being nervous. So I guess in a way that method works. I think everybody still gets nervous. No matter where you are in your career, there's going to be some performance where you are just shaken a little bit. And that's okay. There are a lot of methods to deal with performance anxiety and nervousness, and maybe I'll kind of go into those in more detail in a future episode. But you learn which methods work for you over time. But yes, I do still get nervous. Should I learn the piccolo? I would say it depends on your age and how long you've been playing the flute, but as a general life goal, yes, you should learn the piccolo. Most flutists are also hired to play the piccolo, so not being able to play the piccolo does put you at a bit of a disadvantage when it comes to the professional world. Now, if you're a student and you have absolutely no interest in playing the piccolo in your high school band, I don't see a reason why you would need to kind of force yourself to play it if you if you pick it up and you truly just dislike it really hard. But now if you're a high schooler and you're going to audition for music school for college, then I would say you probably need to play the piccolo. So it certainly depends on your goals and your age and your level of playing the flute. But generally, yes, flutists need to learn the piccolo. How do I make scales more fun to practice? This is a good one. A really great suggestion that actually came from my current professor, Dr. Boysen, is to play your scales along to a pop song that's in the same key. She actually has a whole soundtrack and guide for this on her website. So if you just search up Erica Boysen Flute, her website will pop up and you can use that resource. And I'll link that website in the description. All right, so that's all for today. Thank you all for listening to this episode of the Lessons Unlocked podcast. Thank you to our performers of the day, Maddie from North Carolina and Jason from South Carolina. And a final thank you to all music educators. Go listen to Aaron Copland's duo for flute and piano, and I'll have more for you next week. Bye.